I think most people are chuckling when they think of that. We now have to pay $720,000 for the average house across Canada. In Toronto and Vancouver, it's now over $1 million. The year ending November of 2021 saw the fastest housing inflation ever, according to the Canadian Real Estate Association.
Six and 7, regarding the Public Health Agency of Canada collecting, using, or possessing Canadians' private cell phone data without their knowledge or consent, and therefore, A, invites the Chief Public Health Officer of Canada to appear for 1 hour, including a 5-minute opening statement immediately following the adoption of this motion. B, invites the Minister of Health and the Minister of Indigenous Services to appear for 1 hour, including 5-minute opening statements from each immediately following the appearance referred to in paragraph A. And C, requests the members of the committee to provide the clerk no later than 5 p.m. today with their preliminary witness lists for this study. I have the motion, Madam Clerk, in both official languages, and the motion has been circulated to you electronically.
Passed about in the room. The motion is in order. Discussion. Sorry,
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Just a few comments, if I may.
I apologize. Mr. Brassard was not finished. He was moving the motion, allowing time for its distribution.
Right. And
Mr. Brassard, you still have the floor, and I see Mr. Fergus will be next.
Just on Mr. Chair, just on a technical matter, the point of order, I suppose. I would just like to ask the clerk if she could confirm that she sent that.
And thank you, Madam Clerk, for circulating the motion. Mr. Chair, this is an incredibly important issue for Canadians since news broke prior to Christmas. And over the course of the last couple of weeks, Canadians have become more aware of the situation. And the purpose of calling this meeting and the request that came from the opposition parties is one of accountability. Here's what we know, Mr. Chair, and I'm not going to take up too much time because Conservatives are here to work. We're ready to work this morning. To that end, I notified the clerk yesterday and the chair and other parties, including the Liberal Party, of my intent to move this motion that would call on Ms. Tam, as well as a couple of ministers, to appear before this committee today, if in fact this motion is passed. So there's three things that we really need to focus on and dig deep into on this issue. Number one is the data collection contract that existed where Public Health Agency of Canada was collecting data without the knowledge of Canadians, effectively doing it in secret. We need to know what security measures were in place to protect the privacy rights of Canadians. It's come to our attention, Mr. Chair, that over the course of the last week, there's been confusing information between Public Health Canada and the Privacy Commissioner and his office. To what extent did Public Health contact the Privacy Commissioner to discuss how the safety and security and the privacy rights of Canadians were to be protected as a result of this information? So this is critically important that we find answers to these questions. The second issue that we need to focus on, Mr. Chair, is the request for proposal that was initiated by Public Health to effectively continue on with this practice of collecting Canadians' data. The request for proposal was published on December 17th, the day after Parliament adjourned for the winter break, and was scheduled to close January 21st of this month, 10 days before Parliament was to return. And I'll note, Mr. Chair, that Curiously, just yesterday, the request for proposal was amended to conclude on February 4th. So we have to, Mr. Chair, find out why this occurred, why this request for proposal was put out when there was no opportunity for parliamentary scrutiny. And it wasn't until this request for proposal was found that Public Health actually admitted that they were tracking the cell phone data of 33 million Canadians, and Canadians weren't aware of that. So we have to get to the bottom of that, and that's why the study is so important. And third, it's not just a matter of looking back, but it's also looking forward, Mr. Chair, and I think this provides us with a perfect opportunity of this committee to call in privacy and security and surveillance experts from across Canada and around the world to talk about an important issue, and that is privacy and data protection in the digital age. I don't just want to look back. I don't just want to look at what caused this problem, who made these decisions, why it was done, what metrics were they trying to hope to achieve as a result of this. But I think we also have an opportunity, Mr. Chair, to look at privacy of data in the digital age and make some recommendations coming out of this report. As I said earlier, many Canadians have become concerned about this issue, not just this issue, but a pattern of issues of government overreach, government extension into the privacy rights of Canadians. We've seen with StatsCan collecting banking data for Canadians, 500,000 Canadians without their knowledge. We saw the proposal in the last Parliament of C10, C11. If you start connecting the dots, Mr. Chair, it becomes increasingly concerning that government is seemingly using this pandemic as a means and a cause